next week. And one thing to remember in terms of the mindset is that Agile was created for one reason only by PMI, to run IT software development projects more efficiently, which means that do not have the funny idea that I'm going to build a house on a agile way, because there is no such a thing. All the values, all the principles are created to serving the purpose to running IT software projects more efficiently. So I would say buy upfront now. Please let it go all the other ideas you have around Agile and how you might see it real life, because for the best practice is only talk about two main ways of doing projects, which is going to be Agile, which is for IT software, and then you have Waterfall, which will be for everything else. And we still not get rid of Waterfall, because that's one of the best ways to done any projects done. Okay. So knowing all that, here is one thing which you need to consider, that PMI separates two things here: the mindset, which I also call it the logic, that how we think about things, and the delivery, the know-how, which will define that how we should run those different type of projects. That's what PMI separates. Now, Agile will be the 4 values and 12 principles, which is technically not more than the thinking process, but that will not deliver you anything. Nothing. You need to have Scrum, which will be your delivery methodology with Agile. So you can have a question vaguely saying, here is an Agile project with an Agile project manager. Now on paper, as per the best practice, there is no such a thing. Why? Because the Agile 4 values principles never define the role of the Agile project manager, and Scrum does not have an Agile project manager either. So for example, whenever you see a question which will say Agile project manager, you need to remember that most likely you need to keep the 4 values and 12 principles in mind to answer that question correctly, because Scrum does not have this role. And that's where I would say Waterfall also have this kind of separation of the way we think and the way we do things, because the PMP Book 7 is just the mindset, and to some extent is a waste of time. So, I mean, hopefully none of you reading it, because if you start with PMP Book 7, send me a message on LinkedIn. I'm happy to send you my 5 YouTube videos, which half of it not even mine. This will explain to you within 2 hours everything you need to know about PMP Book 7, so you do not need to read it. Because we still not get rid of the baselines, we still not get rid of the business case, the project charter, the project management plan, the 33 documents, the controlling scope, the validating scope, the accepted deliverables, closing the project, because without those, there is no project as per the best practices. So if you still have, for example, the PMP Book 6 is in your drawer for studying for the PMP, you still can use it, but please remember that there are no knowledge areas anymore in the successor, which is the process practice guide. Okay? Everything else the same, even the 49 processes, all the ITTOs. And that's why you have also the hybrid idea. And this is all linked together, because we can have as a mindset, think that we can combine Agile and Waterfall together. But please be reminded there is no delivery of a hybrid. Same as there is no delivery for the adaptive. Why? Because there is no hybrid project management best practices guide published by PMI. There is none. There is no adaptive project management best practices guide. The way how the Agile practice guide works, or how the process practice guide works. And that's why it's confusing. Many cases, the reason why you stuck with the PMP practice, because you are simply confused. What you need is the clarity. Because now if I'm telling you that Agile is only IT software development, you're going to say like, if I would know this 3 weeks ago, it will make my life easier. All right. So please reminded that that's where the Agile is really created and defined as per PMI. And one more thing I wanted to mention on this one is that here we have the 4 values. Now, the reason why you cannot have a project which is, let's say, building a house on an Agile manner, because PMI say you need to go all in with all the values, is not good enough if you have just 3 values applicable and 1 is not applicable. There is no such a thing. You need to go all in. For example, like individuals and interactions over processes and tools, customer collaboration, and contract negotiation, responding to change to following the change. Now, theoretically, I can use all these 3 on Waterfall, but here is the thing. Working software can be only on Agile. So that's why all your ideas of using this on waterfall is completely needs to be erased, because there is no such a thing as per PMI. And the way we do this real life, we do whatever you like, because that's all about cherry picking. Now, all the agile way of thinking and the mindset works under one fundamental condition, which is we are co-located. Why? It's not just we are in the same room, or we are in the same city, or we are in the same floor. We need to be in the same area, because that's the way that we can focusing on individuals over processes. Because what does this mean in PMI terms? You're not sending emails. You're not sending invitations to workshops. You're not setting up conference calls, because we are all in the same room. If I'm all in the same room, all this, emails, meetings, workshops, will just simply slow me down. And that's why you're not doing it. And technically, that's also applicable for all of them. So you remember, without co-location, there is no agile project test for PMI for the PMP exam. So the idea of you're going to get a question, oh, here we have this development team and we are fully co-located. Now, great. That's good. That can help. But what if you have a virtual team? Now, if you have a virtual team, you cannot be agile. You cannot run Scrum, because Scrum running certain ceremonies which requires that you are actually needs to be there face to face. Now, by the shortage of time, unfortunately, I'm not able to go into more details, but we can do a quick Q&A. Feel free to book a call with me if you just put it into the chat. If you would like to have some further clarity around the PMP exam, feel free to do that, and we're going to do the questions next time. And also, you can download my 8-week study plan, which will be, I would say, a little bit easier than doing it in 4 weeks through my newsletter. So before we close today, is there any question? Now you can unmute yourself, or you can put it into chat.
Can you show again the drag and drop the results that you have?